Welcome to Storytime Fun, boys and girls. We hope you enjoy. Today's story is out of the classic fairy tales book from Hans Christian Andersen and the Brothers Grimm, as retold by Nicola Baxter. And today's story is called The Ugly Duckling. One sunny summer day, when the wildflowers were nodding in the heat, a mother duck sat on her nest. She had found a shady spot in some weeds at the edge of the pond. It seemed to the duck that she had been sitting on her eggs for a very long time. Then, one morning, she heard a tiny sound from one of the eggs. Beep, beep! A little duckling scuttled out from under her feathers. All at once, there were little sounds from more of the eggs. Before long, 12 fluffy little ducklings were cuddling up to their mother. "It's lovely to see you, my dears," she quacked. "The wait has been so long." But one of the eggs, the largest of all, had not yet hatched. "How annoying," said the mother duck. And she settled down to wait a little longer. Sure enough, a day or two later, there was a tap, tap, tapping from the egg. First a little beak appeared, then a little head peeked out. At last, a funny little bird stood in the nest. Well, the mother duck could hardly bear to look at the youngster. He really was the ugliest bird she had ever seen. He didn't look like a duckling at all. "I'll push him into the water," said the mother duck. "If he cannot swim, I'll know he's a turkey or some other kind of bird." But when she nudged the untidy bird out into the pond, he swam off quite happily. In fact, he swam so well that the duck felt quite proud of her ugly duckling. "Come along, my dears," she cried to her children, "and I will introduce you to the other animals in the barnyard. Just watch out for the cat." In the barnyard, the other ducks and the hens quacked and clucked in approval as the mother duck led her 12 little ducklings past. But when they saw the last duckling, they shook their heads and hissed and squawked. "What a horrible bird!" they cried. "He will grow into his feathers," replied the mother duck, "and I must tell you that he swims better than all my ducklings." She shepherded her brood back to the pond. As the ducklings grew, they loved to swim and dive in the pond. They would wade in the barnyard, shaking their feathers. But the ugly ducklings soon dreaded the barnyard birds. They pecked at him and called him names. Every day it grew worse. At last, a morning came when the little duckling could bear it no longer. He ran and fluttered as fast as his legs could carry him away from the barnyard. As night fell, he came tired and hungry to a wild marsh where little frogs jumped and croaked in the moonlight. In the morning, the wild ducks who lived there found a stranger among them. "We've never seen a duck as ugly as you," they laughed. "But you can live here if you like, as long as you don't get in our way." The little duckling was still lonely, but at least no one bullied him. Then one morning, as he swam by the bank, he suddenly saw a dog running through the reeds. All around the marsh, hunters and their dogs were gathering. The little duckling hid in the reeds all day, trembling with fright as shots whistled over his bowed head. That night, he once again fled as fast as he could from his unsafe home. The weather was growing colder and the wind was ruffling his feathers when he came to a tumble-down cottage and crept inside to escape the coming storm. An old woman lived in the cottage with her cat and her hen. She let the duckling stay, but the cat and the hen were not very friendly. "Can you lay eggs?" they asked, "or purr, or catch mice?" "No," whispered the duckling. "Then you are no use at all," said the cat and the hen. At last, the duckling could bear the unkindness no longer, and he wandered out into the world once more. When the duckling came to a lake, he realized how much he had missed swimming. It was lovely to glide across the water in the moonlight. But winter was coming, and the nights grew colder. One frosty day at sunset, a flock of beautiful white birds flew over the lake. The duckling did not know that they were swans, but he longed to see them again. He felt that he had never seen anything so lovely. The days grew colder and colder. One morning, the poor duckling woke to find that he had become trapped in the frozen water. Luckily, a passing farmer freed him and carried him home to his family. But the youngster was frightened by the children's attempts to play with him. As he clumsily flapped his wings, he knocked over the dishes and made a terrible mess. The farmer's wife chased him from the house. Once again, the young bird was on his own. He struggled through the rest of the winter. But gradually, the days became lighter. The grass began to grow and spring flowers appeared. The bird found that his wings were stronger and he could fly swiftly over the water. One afternoon, he caught sight of the beautiful white birds he loved so much far below. "I must talk to them just once," thought the young bird, "even if they attack me because I'm so ugly." As he landed, the swans rushed toward him, beating their wings. The bird bowed his head, waiting for their attack. And as he did so, he saw his reflection. He wasn't an ugly duckling at all. Through the winter months, he had grown up into a beautiful white swan. The other swans had come to welcome him. No bird was ever so happy as he swam with his new friends. Later, 2 children came to feed the swans. "Oh, look," they cried, "there's a new one, and he's the most beautiful swan of all." Well, that's it for today. We'll see you next time.